we've had the theme of the ether forces, the energy forces that we can work with in the yoga positions. So we can imagine that this energy exists in the space around us, in the cosmos. It comes from the sun, and we can work to concentrate this energy and make it stronger using our power of thinking. So when we think a thought in a very clear and well-formed way, we could imagine that this thought is a form of energy. It's a way, so the power of thinking is a way of condensing this energy and making it more formed. So when we do our yoga practice, we think specific thoughts about the movements that we want to do. And we can think thoughts that help us to really form our movements. We think well-formed thoughts about well-formed movements. And we can also think more clear and differentiated thoughts that help us to differentiate our movements. So in other words, when I say differentiate, I mean some parts of the body will be strong, other parts will stretch, other parts will be more free and light. And the effect of this has an effect not only on our body and on our movements, but we could imagine that this energy, which ultimately comes from outside us, is worked through our consciousness and our body, flows back out into the world again in a more formed and differentiated way. And sometimes we can find then that afterwards our lives, we can bring better form into our lives. Our day might have a better structure. The other things that we do might be better formed. If we're making things, they might have a better form to them. They might have also a better differentiation and articulation to them. So for today's lesson, I want to work on these two themes of bringing form and also differentiation into our movements as a way of forming and differentiating the energies that are available to us. So I'd like to start with the cosmic prayer. Would you like to stand with your legs together and make a well-formed vertical line? I'm going to kneel down so that my arms are visible on the screen. So we know that the cosmic prayer consists of 7 different movements, 7 different hand gestures, which make 7 different forms. Let's pay attention to these forms as we now. So the first form is with the right hand in the left. The words, as we know, are the beginning. It forms a gentle resting kind of form, a bit like a cradle. The second form is again a sort of bowl shape with the hands together, moving out now in front of us. The readiness, being ready, is this gesture. Then we have this form of growth. We can feel that form along the spine, the palms of the hands open outwards, the flower. And now we have this very open, wide form, as if we're receiving this big space around us, wide open to the light. Then we have a centered form coming together. The hands close in a good contact in front of the heart. Then we move back out to the same as the second form, this bowl again, the gesture of appreciation. And the final form, devotion, as if we open to give something greater to the world. The beginning lies in the readiness to grow like a flower, wide open to the light, turning to the center in appreciation and devotion. The beginning lies in the readiness to grow like a flower, wide open to the light. Turning to the center in appreciation. The beginning lies in the readiness to grow like a flower, wide open to the light. Turning to the center in appreciation and devotion. Let's come next to the sun prayer. Once again, let's start with a good closed form, so the legs together, drawn together. This helps to gather the energy, you could say, to form the energy. We can have a gathering at the different chakras, the second, but mainly the third. And then in this more differentiated form, we can stream upwards with the arms into this length so that by the end the fingertips are light. You can take your hands up above your head. Let's take the hands down again. Take the hands down towards the ground. And take the right foot back. Let's again differentiate our form. We've got the good growth in the legs, a lifting in the middle, and then a gliding up through to the fingertips, head staying free. Come into the plank, round line, knees, chest and forehead down. Come into the cobra. Be aware that you're quite active in your solar plexus, but lighter in your head. We're differentiating this form. Push into the triangle. You can bring a good length through the back. Your bottom is the peak of the triangle. Take the right foot forward. And again, let's differentiate the form. We've got a lengthened base through the legs, a growth as you take your hands gently above your head. Then the other foot forward, lengthening up through the legs, down through the back, looking towards the floor. And then come all the way up into the standing half moon, legs drawn together, stretching up at your solar plexus, light fingertips. Take the hands down. Let's do the same thing on the other side with a differentiated form. Hands together, legs drawn together, lengthening through your middle, streaming up to the light fingers. Take the hands down, looking down towards the ground. Lengthened legs, lengthened back. Left foot back. Grow into both your legs to form the base. Lift from your middle, stream up through the arms, fingertips light. Come into the plank. Knees, chest and forehead down. Slide along the ground, good base. Growing in your middle, light head in the cobra. Push into the downward dog, long legs. Bottom forms the peak, long back. Left foot forward. Forming a good base with your legs. Lengthening in your middle, streaming up light fingertips. Other foot forward. Growing through the two sides of the body. Coming up once again. Legs together, really grow and lengthen. Stream up through the arms, take the fingertips together. And relax. So we're working on how through our consciousness or our power to think thoughts, we can actually gather and intensify the energy that is available to us. So for our next round of the sun prayer, we're going to now intensify in particular this growing movement from the rib cage. Let's just try it in the standing half moon. If you take your hands up lightly, then you take your power of thought to this central region of the solar plexus around here. And now we're going to intensify that stretch right from that region. We can picture how the energy flows and streams up through the upper spine and lengthens right up through the arms and then back down again. So much more intensified concentration of energy so it can stream out. Let's come to the full cycle with that thought. Hands together. Take the arms up. So now we lengthen, concentrate in the middle, stream out. Take the hands down, a bit more lengthening up through the legs, down through the spine. Right foot back, growing into the legs. Now once again, a concentrated, active stretch right through and through to the fingertips. Come into the plank. Knees, chest and forehead down, slide along the ground. Now the same thing with the cobra. Keep the head light, but grow a bit more through your spine, through your middle. Then come into the downward dog. Now you can lengthen the spine more actively, really stretch it out. Right foot forward. Good base. From the middle, lengthening, streaming up right through the arms, right through to the fingertips. Other foot forward, lengthening up through the legs, down through the spine. Come up once again. From the middle, streaming up, growing up through the arms. And right, and hands down. Hands together. Take the arms up. From the middle, lengthening, streaming, growing right the way through. Take the hands down, looking towards the ground. Left foot back. Up. Growing, stretching, streaming through the arms to the fingers. Hands down. Come forwards. Slide into the cobra. More active stretch. Push into the downward dog. Left foot forward. Coming up once again. Breath free, growing up. And then forwards again. Stretch up and grow. And take the hands down. So I'd like to do one more round of the sun prayer in a more flowing way. And let's pay attention in particular this time to the difference between the concentration in our center and the real freedom in the head and the arms. This is another thing that can help our energy to really gather and concentrate itself and then flow out again in a freer way. So, hands together. Take the arms up, the energy gathers in the center and flows out freely into space. Come down, looking down towards the ground. Right foot back, good stretch with the legs. Gathering at the center and streaming up into the space. Come into the plank. Knees, chest and forehead down. Slide along the ground, gathering at the center and streaming out through the spine and head. Push into the downward dog, lengthening right up high with your hips. Right foot forward, good growth with the legs, up through the spine, right out through the fingers and arms. Other foot forward, lengthening up through the legs, down through the spine. Come right the way up again and grow and lengthen, stream up through. Hands by your sides, hands together, arms up. Grow, streaming up through, hands down, left foot back, growing through the legs, right the way up, lengthening, streaming through the arms, and then coming to the plank, knees, chest and forehead down, slide along the ground, cobra, right up through, triangle, left foot forward, growing, lengthening and streaming up through, Right foot forward. Come up once again and grow, lengthening up, and take the hands down. So I'd like to come next to the scales exercise, which has a very clear form. So let's start with that idea, particularly the form that runs from the middle through the back leg and through the upper spine and the arms. This other leg forms that stable base. Let's start just in this position with this feeling of form, making sure that line is very clear. So it's by directing our awareness is the way in which we gather the energy that's available to us, and we give it some shape and form. We give it a form first in our thoughts, and that transfers into a form in the body. Breath flowing. And then come back down again. The other foot forward, a good firm step. Growing into the back leg, giving that a good clear form, and growing through the spine and the arms, giving a good form in the other direction as well. The thought is formed and the body is formed. And come back again. Let's just roll down. Again, we can have a good form, particularly in the legs, whereas with the upper body, it's more just in a relaxed hanging. Let's remain aware of that differentiation. The legs are well formed and long, the upper body is hanging. And then swing lightly back up into the standing position with the arms above the head, and take the hands back down by your sides. So we'll come into the actual scales itself, and let's once again pay attention to a really clear form with the body. You all know this position. We have the center at the solar plexus. We stream into this clear form out in two directions. Let's take a step forward with one foot. We can do it all together. Let's make a good form in the vertical line first, and then bring that form in a lengthening way into the horizontal line. Streaming upwards. Look ahead. Look ahead at your hands. And then come back again. You can take the foot forward a little bit and then place it clearly on the ground and come into that lengthening, growing upward form, and take the hands down. And the other step. Be aware of your center. Take the arms up, growing backwards and forwards into this lengthening form. Breath flowing. Return again, take the foot forward a little bit, and then back down, feet together. Always a real clarity in the form, streaming up. Take the hands down. Once again, as you roll down, make sure you keep your legs really firm and clear, and just have that upper body hanging down in a relaxed way. And come up again to a standing half moon, and take the hands by your sides. So one thing that can really help give more shape and growth to our form is the direction of our vision, because the direction of our vision is very closely connected to what our thinking is doing. So if we're looking down, our thought is going to be more of a movement that tends downwards to the ground. If we can find a way of looking ahead a little bit, whether it's directly ahead or whether it's a little bit ahead on the floor, it will make us think more of a lengthening form. Let me just show you this movement again. Let's really think of it as being a lengthening. We can think of the back leg really lengthening out, the hands really lengthening forwards. So we're thinking of a form that streams outwards, and looking ahead can help us to think of it in that way. So let's do it once again on each side. Take 1 foot forward, take a step, take your awareness to this solar plexus, arms up, breath flowing, and now let's stream into this lengthening form. The leg streams backwards, looking ahead, thinking of that streaming through your upper spine, right through to the fingers. Keep breathing. Come back again. Take the foot forward a little bit. And then finally finish off the form. Stretch up a little bit more and take the hands by your sides. Take a step forward. The arms up. Think of your center. Breath flowing. Streaming backwards into your heel and forwards, right through the spine, right through the arms, looking ahead at the fingers. Return again. Take the foot forward and down. Stretching up a little bit more. And take the hands down. And once again, come down, keeping a good form with your legs, letting the body hang. And then come streaming up once again. Hands down. So I'd like to come next to the shoulder stand, which also has a good form to it. It has, but it's not a rigid form. It's a very gentle form. We could imagine it's a flowing form that almost has movement within it. So as you know, in the morning, we need to do some good preparation for the shoulder stand. So would you like to come down onto your mats? And let's start by getting this feeling of movement. We can start by just getting the feeling that we can swing and move. So we're thinking more now of flowing up. Our energy is going to flow up, but we can guide this energy with our thoughts. So it's not just that we're moving the body, but we want to think of a movement of energy that flows from below to above. We think of that movement of energy, and then we can bring it into the body. Come back to a sitting position. We'll have a little pause. Once again, we think of that movement of energy, and then do it again. Thought that we think helps to gather the energy and then give it expression in the body. Come back to a sitting position. Let's think it through again, that movement that goes from below to above. When you're ready, come down and let the body rise up. Each time, perhaps it can come up a little bit higher. Let your breath flow. Return again. Let's do it one more time. Let's think it through. This time we'll think it in such a way that when we come into the position, we'll have a resting base. We're going to differentiate it a bit more now in our thinking. We're going to have a resting base, and we're going to allow a little bit more time to bring that flow upwards through the body. When you're ready, come down,
We think of our resting base, and we give a bit more time now, thinking of that flow up. Never coming up so much that you feel strain in your neck. Remember that the body behaves very differently first thing in the morning. And come back again.
And we'll do the movement one more time. And we'll think of it this time in an even more differentiated way. We'll have our resting base. We'll picture how the energy gathers at the heart center, and out of that heart center it flows up. So we'll hold the position again a little bit longer, thinking that thought and allowing the body to form that thought out. When you're ready,
Rolling back down, taking the hands onto your back. And now thinking the thought, you have a resting base. You have a centering at the heart. And then there is a flowing movement upwards from the heart center. By thinking the thought, the form can naturally unfold itself. Make sure that the flowing movement continues right through your legs.
and then return again. Let's finish off with the fish, which is another position where we can think our thoughts in a differentiated way. Remember, our theme is that there is energy available, but through our power of thinking, we can concentrate this energy into a more formed and differentiated structure. And that then takes expression through the body. And in that way, a more formed and differentiated energy becomes available in the environment. So in the fish, we have a differentiated form. We have on one hand a flowing movement through the legs. On the other hand, we have a lifting movement in the middle. And finally, we have a relaxed dropping back with the head. So, would you like to lie on your backs? Legs straightened out, good form. Rising up on your elbows, actively lifting the rib cage to make a good arch, and then dropping the head right back in a relaxed way. And when you're in the final position, remain aware of this differentiated form. And then come back out again. Just hug your knees into your chest.
Straighten out your legs. Let's just make a clear form on the ground in this lying position, the spine forming a straight line, the limbs coming symmetrically out to the sides, the neck and the head in line with your spine. Just be aware of the form that your body makes on the floor. Theme for this morning has been that we have energy available. Through our power to think, we can form this energy into clear thought forms and differentiated thought forms. These thought forms can become movements expressed in the body, which forms and differentiates the energy even further. And as we move into our day now, we can take this form and differentiation into our various tasks and activities. So when you're ready, you can come back up to a sitting position, and we'll finish our session there.